Tricky problem that kind of broke my mind a little bit. Had to use AI and YouTube to figure it out, but I want to share it with you guys because I think it's important to understand economics. Okay, so let's say we have a supply curve and we also have a demand curve, I guess like so. And the question states that you have some amount of both consumer surplus, which in this case is going to be this area here, okay. We also have a producer surplus, which is here, and that should make sense, right? Pretty obvious. And the way I want you to think about all this is, sorry, my shading isn't great. So producer surplus, think about it like this. It's the sum of the benefit that the producers see. So at an equilibrium price of, in this case, the problem said $12, so this is 12. Producers are gaining in this triangle because they might value it at some lower value A, where A is less than 12, right? At any arbitrary point A, they're gaining a benefit because at that price point, they valued it at that, but they're selling it for 12. Consumer surplus is the exact same kind of benefit, just a little different. Let's say this is B. Well, and we need to put the restriction that B is always greater than 12. Well, we can say that the benefit that the consumer gets is because he's valuing at some value greater than 12, but he's only paying 12 for it. But now let's say the following, and this is with respect to DVDs, we're going to generalize it. Let's say that the market overproduces to some arbitrary point out here. So here's the quantity, and let's just stay consistent, 20. Okay, and let's say they overproduce to some value here, which we'll call D. Or sorry, let's call it C. So, and the restraint is that 20 is always greater than, or sorry, C is always greater than 20. Okay, how do we interpret this? Well, we can draw two new triangles. This first one is going to be deadweight loss for the consumer. Notice it's the triangle that intersects this demand line. Okay, and then let's also take this triangle here, and this is the deadweight loss for the producer, and overall it makes an overall deadweight loss. Now, how we want to think about this, and let's start with each one individually. Let's say on the producer side, we're valuing our product on the supply curve at some price higher than 12. So we could say some arbitrary point B in this case, but B is in a different context on a different line. That point in pink is higher than 12. So the producer is valuing their product higher than $12. But he's only getting $12 out of it, and therefore it's a loss in terms of valuation. Let's take another arbitrary point, but here with the deadweight loss of the consumer, let's go down here. Well, they're valuing the product. Hold on, I'm having a brain fart. Let me think through this quick. Here's an iffy case because, oh, I get it. Sorry, brain fart over. They only value, if a consumer buys at this price, what is happening is they're basically valuing it at lower than 12, but they're paying 12 for it. So it makes no sense for a consumer to buy. That's kind of why I had a brain fart. The consumer sees, okay, I value this at some price lower than 12, but okay, I'll pay $12 for it. that's a loss. So an overproduction will lead to a loss in both the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. And how we find this is that we basically, for the total consumer surplus, like in this problem, we have to take the consumer surplus final after the overproduction is equal to the consumer surplus minus the deadweight loss for the consumer. And similar with the producer surplus final, which is simply going to be the producer surplus minus their deadweight loss of the producer. So that's how you want to think about it. And that's how I thought about it. It took me a long time to be able to figure this out. So I hope that maybe my explanation helped here. Maybe just a little bit. It's very mathy, but it's a rigorous way of explaining it. Anywho, have a good day. Bye-bye.